Hello everyone, I welcome you all to Physics Wala, and in this session we are going to discuss a very interesting chapter of physical chemistry, which is redox reaction. It's the extension part of mole concept, which is the first chapter of physical chemistry, or also known as some basic concepts of chemistry. So basically in this particular chapter we are going to learn the next portion, which is related to somehow mole concept and the extended version of the entire part. Okay, so basically if I talk about this redox reaction chapter, this comprises of a very specific type of reactions, which are oxidation as well as reduction type of reactions. Okay, so basically in this session what we are going to discuss, we are going to be focused on the first portion, which is the analysis of oxidation and reduction, which we already know, somehow we already know. Next part is a very interesting portion, that is the oxidation number, how to calculate the oxidation number and what is the meaning of this oxidation number term. Next part is the basic analysis of oxidizing as well as reducing agent, along with the analysis of redox reactions. Okay, so let's start with the first part. If I talk about the process of oxidation and reduction, we generally know that part is already being covered in your 9th and 10th class, so you have certain idea. So if I talk about the process of oxidation, I can say it's nothing but the addition of oxygen. Okay, definitely. Or you can say it is nothing but the removal of hydrogen. Both are absolutely correct. Both are absolutely correct. But there are certain cases where you cannot find the addition of oxygen or the removal of hydrogen. In that case, how to analyze this entire part? In that case, generally the oxidation is loss of electron. This is generally the loss of electron. Or you can say when there is a increase of positive charge, or you can say decrease of negative charge. These are the things related to the process of oxidation, entire analysis related to oxidation. So this is the portion where you can see the oxidation reaction. There is one more thing which I want to add in this particular case, but we will see what is the analysis of that entire part. So generally remember, when oxidation number increases, that process is basically oxidation. But that part we will figure out later on in this session, like what is oxidation number, we have to first find out, then we can see what is the increment of this oxidation number. Okay, so these are few cases related to the process of oxidation. So these were like the classical concept. You can see these are the classical concept, and these all concepts are basically modern concept. Okay, these are modern concept and these were classical concept. Now along with that, if I want to explain what is the reduction, so you can easily say in case of reduction, I can say that is the addition of hydrogen, or I can say removal of oxygen. Classical concept. These two are classical concepts which you already know from your 9th or 10th class. Now next part in this particular case, you can say it is nothing but the gain of electron, modern concept. Then you can say decrease of positive charge, or you can say increase of negative charge, or one more thing, which is decrease in oxidation number. So these concepts are basically your modern concept. Okay, so these are modern concept. I hope this part is clear. I hope this entire analysis is clear. So with the help of different reactions, you can see what is going to happen in this particular case. But the main idea is how to find out this oxidation number increase and oxidation number decrease. Then only we can say that oxidation and reduction is going to happen. There are certain cases by which you can explain that the process is oxidation or reduction. For example, let's say what happened? H2S is being converted into H2 plus S, let's say, a hypothetical reaction. So the removal of hydrogen is basically oxidation. So you can say that process, that entire process is basically your oxidation. That process is oxidation, removal of hydrogen. You can say C2H4 plus H2 gives you C2H6. Addition of hydrogen, that is reduction part. Okay. Let's say Fe2 positive is converting into Fe3 positive. It means increase in positive charge. That process is oxidation. Or you can say that F2 is converting into F negative. It means increase in negative charge. You can say that process is reduction. Everything is clear in this particular case. But again, we know addition of hydrogen, removal of hydrogen, we know loss of electron, we know gain of electron, because in this case you can see there is a loss of electron, and in this case there is a gain of electron that takes place. So that's why it is basically oxidation as well as reduction. So entire part is now clear, but the only thing which is not clear is how to deal with this oxidation number part. So that part is very easy to understand. In that case, if I talk about the ionic compounds, first of all, if I talk about the ionic compounds, so ionic compounds have one thing, they have real charges. Because if I talk about ionic compounds, for example, NaCl, in that case I know that we have Na positive as well as Cl negative. It means the charge of Na will be +1 and the charge of this Cl will be -1. Okay, this part will be the cation and this part will be the anion. Okay, now the same case I am using in the covalent compounds. Same case I am using in case of covalent compounds. For example, I am using for CO2. In that case of CO2, I know that the electronegativity of oxygen will be more than the electronegativity of carbon. So in case of covalent compound, one thing we know that there is a creation of partial charges. There is a creation of partial charges, but there is no creation of real charge takes place. So in that particular case, if I want to explain the same analysis of covalent compounds just like ionic compounds, then I can use the concept of oxidation number. So in that case, so to explain the entire part, just like ionic compound, we use a concept of oxidation number. Again, oxidation number never talks about the actual charge in case of covalent compounds. It's a hypothetical situation when we are considering covalent compounds to behave like the ionic compounds. Then only you can represent the entire part. But generally, this oxidation number of a particular element in any of the compound actually talks about the number of electrons lost or gained or shared by that particular atom, generally lost or gained by that particular atom to form bond or to form a particular compound. So basically, oxidation number of an element in a particular compound represent the number of electrons lost or gained by that element during its change from the free state to that compound. Free state means its native state. Its native state to that compound. Okay, so that is basically the oxidation number. For example, if I talk about Mn, native state is Mn only, metal. In this case, its charge is always 0. When it converts into KMnO4, it attains the oxidation number of +7. It means from Mn to KMnO4, it actually loses 7 electrons. So 7 electron loss can be explained with the help of oxidation number. So that is the basic idea. Generally, this concept is useful for covalent compounds when you want to express the entire idea with respect to ionic compounds, but their charges are not real. Their charges are not real. So this is the basic idea about the oxidation number. Just have a look at it. Okay. Now there are certain rules by which you can calculate the oxidation number. For example, first part, whenever you are calculating the oxidation number. So I am talking about the mathematical formulation of oxidation number calculation. So in uncombined state or free state, or you can say native state, or you can say native state, the oxidation number is always 0. The oxidation number is always 0 of an element. This is an element of an element is always 0. For example, if I talk about the native state of hydrogen, it is basically H2 gas. Hydrogen is always present in native form as H2 gas. In this case, its oxidation will be 0. Oxygen will be present in O2, so that part will be 0. Nitrogen will be present in N2, so that part will be 0. Chlorine will be present in Cl2, that part will be 0. In case of bromine, that will be Br2, again 0. In case of iodine, that will be I2, again 0. So these are the native states. Oxygen is there. Fluorine, you can consider fluorine, again native state is 0. For metals like sodium, magnesium, their metallic state is there. So Na, again 0. Mg, again 0. Aluminium, again 0. Or you can consider noble gases, helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon, radon, everyone will be 0 in their native state, because their native state is atomic state only. Okay, so this is the basic idea about the native state. So if I talk about sulfur, sulfur is present in acid, again 0. Phosphorus is present in P4, again 0. So in native state, that will be 0. Oxidation state will be 0. Now in the combined state, you have to look for different type of oxidation states. So in case of a fluorine, fluorine generally shows only two oxidations. First one is -1, which is F -1, and next one is F2, which is 0. So fluorine can show only 0 and -1. In compounds, it is always F -1. In compounds, it is always F -1. In all the compounds of a fluorine, it is always -1, always -1. So in that case, let's say I am using Na3Al F6. F will be -1. Okay, so that is for sure. I am using CaF2 -1 again. Okay, so F can only show two oxidation state. In compound it is -1, in native state it is 0. Okay, nothing else. In case of oxygen, generally its oxidation state is -2. It means whenever you are talking about oxide only, in case of oxide will be O2 negative. So its oxidation state will be -2. But there are different compounds. First one is peroxide. In case of peroxide, it is -1. In case of, let's say, superoxide, in case of superoxides, which is basically O2 -1, that will come out as -1/2. -1/2. So oxidation number can be in fraction. It may be possible. It can be in fraction. Okay. There are some compounds like OF2, where oxygen's oxidation number will come out as +2, because F cannot be +1 or +2. In case of O2F2, the oxidation number come out as +1. So it's also possible. Certain cases are there only, but it's possible. Okay. So this is the basic idea about the oxygen. In most of the cases, it is -2 only. But in peroxide, it is -1. In superoxide, it is -1/2. In case of OF2 or O2F2, it is basically positive oxidation state also. Okay. In the same way, if I talk about hydrogen, so hydrogen in the native state, it is 0. Hydrogen plus a non-metal. So along with a non-metal, hydrogen always shows +1. So basically it is +1. In case of hydrogen with metals, it always shows -1, which is hydride. So that will become -1. Okay, always remember with hydrogen. Okay, there is one more thing. In case of a p block elements, their maximum oxidation state will be equal to group number -10. Okay, their group number -10. It means if I talk about 13 group, that will be +3. 14th group, that will be +4. 15th group, that will be +5, and so on. And so on. Okay, that is the basic idea about the entire part. If I talk about 16 group, let's say, that will be +6. 17 group +7, 18 group +8. Okay, that is the basic idea about the p block elements. If I talk about their minimum oxidation state in case of p block elements, so that is basically maximum oxidation state -8. Okay, so always remember, although in case of 13 group, that minimum will be -5, which is not possible. How can some element gain 5 electrons but it can lose only 3 electrons? 3 electrons is feasible, losing 3 electrons, but gaining 5 electron is not feasible. So in case of 13 group, you cannot see its minimum oxidation state, which is -5. But in case of 14 group, you can see -4. In 15 group, -3. In 16 group, -2. In 17 group, it is -1. Okay, so you can do it by yourself. Okay, next part, let's say, I'm including one more thing. So let's say in case of S block. So S block elements are very easy. So if I talk about the alkali metals, their oxidation number will be +1, always fixed. In case of alkaline earth metals, it's going to be +2, because that corresponds to NS1 and that corresponds to NS2. Okay, I hope this part is clear. So for S block, it is always +1 or +2. Okay. Now, the algebraic sum of all the oxidation states of elements in a given compound is always equal to 0, because compounds are neutral. So that part will be 0. For example, if I am taking KMnO4 and I want to calculate the oxidation state of Mn. So how can I say? Okay, I can say that number of atoms of potassium is 1 multiplied by oxidation state of potassium is +1. Number of atoms of Mn is again 1. Let's say its oxidation state will be X only, plus number of oxygen atoms are 4 and its oxidation state generally is -2, and our entire compound is actually neutral, so that will be equal to 0. So from that part you can say that X will be equal to +7, because that will be -8 plus 1, that is -7. On that side, that will be +7. Okay. For example, you can take CO2. So if you want to calculate the oxidation number of carbon, so let's say this oxidation state or oxidation number of carbon is X plus 2 multiplied by -2 for oxygen. Entire compound is neutral, will be 0. So X you can say will be +4. I hope this part is clear. Okay. Now let's say if I have a particular ion, then what to do? In case of ion, that will be equal to the charge of ion. So for example, I have SO4 2 negative and I want to calculate the oxidation number of sulfur. So 1 sulfur is there and its oxidation number will be X, plus 4 oxygens are there and its oxidation number will be -2. That will be equal to, charge on the ion is -2, so that will be equal to -2. So you can say X will be equal to -2 plus 8, that will be +6. And that's how you can calculate the entire part. That's how you can calculate the entire part. I hope this entire portion is clear. A very simple analysis, very, very easy analysis. Okay. Just have a look at it. Okay. Now, okay. So in the coordination compound, which is K4NiCN4, the oxidation state of a nickel is, so basically this is like CN4. Okay. So always remember that if we have complex anion, in case of complex anion, their oxidation number will be equal to their charge. Okay, so you just have to remember this thing. Their oxidation number will be equal to their charge only. So let's say in case of SO4 2 negative, so for sulfate the oxidation number will be -2, their charge. In case of a phosphate it will be -3. In case of oxalate that will be -2. In case of cyanide that will be -1. So their charge will be equal to their oxidation number as a whole unit. I'm not talking about the individual atom, but in total case of complex anion, you can talk about their total charge that will be equal to their oxidation number. So in this particular case, we have complex which is K4 NiCN4, and we want to calculate for this particular part. So potassium is clear that 4 potassiums are there having +1 oxidation number. Nickel, let's say X plus 4 multiplied by -1 for cyanide, that will be equal to 0 because entire complex is neutral. So you can say this is going to cancel out this entire part. X will be equal to 0. X will be equal to 0, which is option number C. I hope this part is clear. I hope this entire portion is clear. Okay, and that's how you can calculate this analysis. Okay, amongst the following, identify the species with an atom of +6 oxidation state. Let's find out. So first of all, we have MnO4 negative. So I can say this Mn is, let's say, X, because one X is present, multiplied by 4 -2 will be equal to charge, that will be -1. So X will be +7 in this particular case. So no, it's not the correct answer. In this case, chromium, let's say one chromium is X plus a 6 cyanide, which is -1, that will be equal to -3 charge. Okay, so you can say X will be equal to +3. So no, this is not the correct answer. In case of a Cr2O3, we have 2 Cr having oxidation state which is X, let's say, plus a 3 oxygen having oxidation state -2, that will be equal to 0. So 2X will be equal to 6, X will be equal to +3. So no, this is not the case. Last one is chromyl chloride gas, CrO2 Cl2. So in this case, let's say chromium is X plus 2 multiplied by -2 for oxygen plus 2 multiplied by -1 for chlorine, that will be equal to 0, because in case of chlorine minimum oxidation state is -1 only. So these some part you already know, some part you already know from the previous analysis, and some part you should know that how to put their charges. Okay, so in that case you can say that X will be equal to 2 2s are 4 plus 2, so that will be +6. So that will be +6. So yes, this is the only compound which is going to show you +6 oxidation state of central atom, which is chromium in this particular case. Okay, I hope this part is clear. I hope this part is clear. A very simple analysis related to the oxidation number. Okay, now let's try to practice some more questions from that particular part. Let's say I want to calculate for H2SO4. In case of H2SO4, what do you think? So we have 2 hydrogens having +1 charge. I told you in case of hydrogen, when it is connected to non-metal, it's always going to show +1. Plus the sulfur that we don't know, that is X, plus a 4 multiplied by -2, that will be equal to 0. Okay, so from that part I can say that X will be equal to 4 2s are 8 minus 2, that will be plus 6. So sulfur will be plus 6 in this particular case. Okay. Let's say what can we do in this particular case? Let's say we have H2C2O4, which is oxalic acid, and I want to calculate for carbon. So 2 into plus 1 plus a 2 into X for carbon plus a 4 into minus 2 for oxygen, that is equal to 0. Okay. So in this particular case, I know that we have 2 plus 2x minus 8 will be equal to 0. I can say 2x will be equal to 6 and x will be equal to plus 3. So that will be plus 3 for each carbon. Okay. Let's say we have H2S2O7, which is oleum, H2S2O7, and I want to calculate for sulfur in this particular case. So 2 hydrogens means plus 1 plus 2 sulfur, we don't know x, plus 7 multiplied by minus 2, that will be equal to 0. So 2 plus 2x minus 14 will be equal to 0. So I can say x will be equal to plus 6. X will be equal to plus 6. Okay, another case. Okay. So this rule is applicable in most of the cases, but there are certain cases in which you cannot apply that rule because it's going to give you a wrong answer. For example, now it's time to discuss about the next concept where this rule is not going to be applicable. So let's say we are talking about a specific acid which is known as Carose acid or peroxymonosulfuric acid. Carose acid or peroxymonosulfuric acid, which is H2SO5. In this particular case, if you calculate, so we have 2 hydrogens having plus 1 charge and sulfur is X plus 5 multiplied by minus 2 for oxygen, that will be equal to 0 because the entire compound is neutral. From that calculation, you can see we have a 2 plus x minus a 10 will be equal to 0, and you can say, sir, x will come out as plus 8. Sir, it's a correct answer. Why this is a wrong answer? So I told you that in case of a p block, maximum oxidation state is basically group number minus 10. And if I talk about sulfur is basically 16th group element. Sulfur is a 16th group element. It means in case of sulfur, its maximum oxidation state will be plus 6 only. It cannot go beyond plus 6. It can only achieve plus 6 oxidation state. But in this case, it is coming out plus 8. It means after the calculation, after the formula, it is coming out more than its maximum oxidation state. Whenever you are calculating the oxidation state and it is coming out more than the maximum oxidation state, always look for peroxide linkage. Always look for peroxide linkage in the compound. There should be a chance that definitely peroxide linkage will be there. So in this particular case, what to do? Whenever you are calculating or whenever you are dealing with the oxidation state, so always remember that this oxidation number can be calculated with the help of the formula, whatever we are using, or from structural analysis. Okay, so these are two methods by which you can talk about the entire calculation. So in this particular case, the structure or basic skeleton of sulfur oxy acids are very easy. Always remember, I am just giving you a basic skeleton: double bond, single and single. Okay, so if I talk about the oxy acids or oxo acids of sulfur, the basic skeleton will be like this: double bond, single and single. Okay, in case of a phosphorus, that will be phosphorus, double bond, single and single. Okay, so that is for phosphorus. So always remember these 2-3 things. So in this particular case, this is the skeleton. Now we have a 5 oxygens. So 1, 2, 3, 4 oxygens are already set. Now you can see oxygen generally form two bond. So one H is there, so it's complete. Now one OH is there, so you can say this is going to form O as well as H. Now you can see this OO is a present. This part you already know. This part you already know. This linkage is known as peroxy linkage. This linkage is actually known as peroxy linkage. Whenever two oxygen atoms are connected simultaneously, and in that case always remember each oxygen will have -1 and -1, because I told you in case of peroxide, in the same rule, just look at this. In case of peroxides, OO type linkage, the oxidation state is always -1. The oxidation state is always -1. Now coming back to the same part, let's try to analyze this entire portion. Now in this case, which is H2SO5, I can say two hydrogens are there having +1 charge. Sulfur is only one having oxidation number which is X plus. Now you can see two oxygens are in peroxy linkage. So two oxygens are in peroxy linkage means -1. Remaining three oxygen, 1, 2, 3, they are simple oxides. So remaining three oxygens are in -2 and entire compound will be equal to 0. Now +2, -2 cancel out each other. Now you can say X is actually coming out as +6. So when peroxy linkage is present, it will never exceed its maximum oxidation state. It will remain as +6 only. Okay, so that's how you can deal with the calculation. I hope this part is clear. I hope this entire part is clear. Just have a look at it. Now let's talk about one more example, which is peroxy disulfuric acid, or known as Marshall's acid, which is H2S2O8. So if I talk about this H2S2O8, and if I am applying the same formulation, so two hydrogens are there having +1 charge, two sulfur are there having +X oxidation state, which I don't know, plus 8 hydrogens are there with -2 charge, that will be equal to 0. From that particular part you can say 2x minus 14 will be equal to 0, and you can say x will be equal to +7, and again this part is more than its maximum oxidation state. More than its maximum oxidation state, it means there is some discrepancy in this particular part. So what can we do? We can draw the structure. So sulfur double bond single single, then sulfur double bond single and single. Okay, that's how we can deal with this part. That's how we can deal with this particular part, because two sulfurs are there, so I am drawing two structures. Now you know 8 oxygens are there. 8 oxygens means 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I have connected each and every part. Two hydrogens are there, so one hydrogen will be there, one hydrogen will be there. So what to do? There is one connection left, so I have to connect these two parts so that every valency will be completed. Now you can see this entire linkage will be the peroxy linkage. It means in this particular case, if I talk about the calculation, I can say two hydrogens are there which is in +1, two sulfurs which I don't know, which I completely don't know, plus next part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you can say 6 hydrogens are there, 6 oxygens are there which are normal, and only 2 oxygens are connected as peroxy, so that will be -1, and entire compound is neutral, which is 0. So this -2 is going to be cancelled out with this +2, and 2x minus 12 will be equal to 0, x will be equal to +6. Again that will be +6 only. I hope this part is clear. So this is the first case where after calculation the maximum oxidation state is actually, the calculated oxidation state is actually more than maximum oxidation state. So always remember, this is the case where calculated oxidation state is actually more than the maximum oxidation state. So there might be a chance that we are talking about the presence of peroxy linkage. There might be a chance that we are looking at the peroxy linkage in this particular case. I hope this part is clear. I hope this part is clear. Okay. Now in the same way, you can talk about a very interesting compound which will come in your D block, a blue color compound which is known as chromium pentoxide or blue perchromate. So in case of chromium, always remember, in case of chromium, the maximum oxidation state will be +6. In case of manganese, the maximum oxidation state will be +7. Always remember. Okay. Now if I calculate this entire part, so chromium is X plus 5 multiplied by -2, that will be equal to 0. So X will be equal to +10, which is very far from its maximum oxidation state, because its maximum oxidation state is only +6. Definitely when the calculated one is more than the maximum part, there is a chance of peroxy linkage. So this structure is a very interesting structure. This looks like a butterfly. So this is basically butterfly structure of this compound chromium pentoxide. What happens? These oxygens are connected with peroxide linkage, and one oxygen is normal oxygen. So it means if you calculate with the help of this structure, so chromium is X plus 1 oxygen is in -2 and 4 oxygens are in -1 because they are peroxide linkages, and that entire compound will be neutral. So you can say X will be equal to +6. That's how you can calculate the entire part. I hope this portion is clear. Just have a look at it. One more thing is there, which is K3CrO8. There is one more compound which is, let's say, K3CrO8. If I talk about this particular compound K3CrO8 and I want to calculate the oxidation state, so 3 potassiums, so +1 plus chromium is X plus 8 oxygens having -2 charge, that will be equal to 0. In this particular case, you can see that will be 3 plus X minus 16 is equal to 0, and X is coming out as +13, which is not at all possible, in this particular case. So generally what happens in this case, chromium is going to form oxygen like this. One peroxy linkage is there, next one peroxy linkage negative charge, next one peroxy linkage negative charge, next one peroxy linkage negative charge. If a structure looks like this, this is going to compensate K positive here, K positive here, and K positive here, and that's how the entire structure works. So in this particular case, if you want to calculate, so that will be chromium is, let's say, X plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 oxygens are in peroxy linkage -1 plus 3 multiplied by +1 for potassium, that will be equal to 0. And you can say X will be equal to +3 minus 8, that is +5. So that will be +5 in this particular case. Okay, I hope this entire part is clear. You may find this structure like this also, so don't get confused. If it is present in the ionized form, then it will look like this only. Okay, and that will be 3 negative. So don't worry, if something looks like this or looks like this, everything is going to work. Okay, in both the cases you can say chromium will be having only +5 oxidation state. Okay, I hope this entire part is clear. When the calculated part is more than the maximum oxidation state, so there is a chance that you can find out peroxy linkage. Now second case is with the help of structural analysis. So with the help of structural analysis, again you can talk about the charge separation. So in molecules containing covalent and coordinate bond, how do you know that we can talk about the charge separation? So first of all, I am dealing with covalent bond. So if only covalent bond is present. So let's say we have AA single bond, AA double bond and AA triple bond. When both the atoms are same, whether it is a single bond or double bond or triple bond, both the charges are always zero because the atoms are same. Because the atoms are same, it means the difference in electronegativity in this case is actually zero. So both the charges are going to be same. Second case, let's say A single bond B, A double bond B and A triple bond B, if that is the situation. And let's say that the electronegativity of A is more than electronegativity of B. That is the condition. That is the condition in this case. So definitely if electronegativity of A is more, it will acquire negative charge. So single bond is there, so -1 +1. Double bond is there, -2 +2. Triple bond is there, -3 and +3. That's how you can separate the charges. Now let's say we have A single bond B, A double bond B and A triple bond B. In this case, let's say electronegativity of A is less than electronegativity of B. Now B is more electronegative in this particular case. So what happens? B will acquire negative charge. So in single bond it is -1 +1. In double bond it is -2 +2. In triple bond it is -3 and +3. This is the case of covalent bond only. Now, in case of coordinate bond, first of all, always remember one important point. In case of second period elements, coordinate bond can be converted to covalent bond. This is the first part, that coordinate bond can be easily converted into covalent bond in case of second period elements, and this part is covalent single bond. Covalent single bond. So let's say I have the coordinate bond which is A is giving to B, and both are second period elements. Both are second period elements. And A is forming coordinate bond with B. Means A is donor species, B is the acceptor species. Always remember, if I am converting this entire part into covalent bond which is A single bond B, the donor species always gets a positive charge and the acceptor will get a negative charge. And again, if A is more electronegative than B or A is less electronegative than B, then I can again assign the charges according to single covalent bond. Okay. So this is the basic idea in case of second period, because up to second period only I can convert coordinate bond into single covalent bond. But after the second period, in case of third period, fourth period or so on, I can simply convert the coordinate bond into double bond. So that is the difference between the part of coordinate bond in second period and coordinate bond in third period or more. Okay. For example, in this particular case, I want to calculate the oxidation number of carbon in HCN and HNC. Okay. Cyanide or isocyanide. Okay. So first case, which is HC triple bond N. Okay. Among H and C, which one is more electronegative? Definitely carbon, and single bond is there. So you can say that will be +1, that will be -1. In case of carbon and nitrogen, definitely nitrogen. So triple bond is there. So -3 and +3. So for hydrogen, the oxidation number will be +1. For nitrogen, the oxidation number will be -3. And for carbon, the oxidation number will be +3 -1, that is +2. I hope this part is clear. Now the case, which is the second part. We have H, N double bond C and one coordinate. So first of all, I have to convert this coordinate into covalent. I have to convert this coordinate into covalent. That will look like H N triple bond C. So this is the donor species, positive charge is there, acceptor species, negative charge is there. Now I can again use the same application, nitrogen and hydrogen. So this is +1, this is -1. Nitrogen and carbon, this is +3 and this is -3 because triple bond is there. Nitrogen is more electronegative. Now if you calculate the oxidation state of hydrogen, that will be +1 again. In case of nitrogen, you can see -1 +1 cancel out each other, -3. So that will be -3 only. In case of carbon, +3 -1, that will be -2 only. I hope this part is clear. I hope this entire part is clear. That's how you can deal with the calculation. In case of C3O2, carbon suboxide, you can say that will be carbon, double bond carbon, double bond carbon, double bond oxygen and double bond oxygen. That is the structure of C3O2. Can you calculate? Just try to calculate. So generally, double bond -2 +2 -2 +2. But in this case, carbon carbon is same. So if same, so that will be 0 0 and 0. So you can say two carbons are basically in +2 and two oxygens are basically in -2 and one carbon is in basically 0. Okay, that is useful when you have multiple central atoms. When you have multiple central atoms, this structural analysis is much more useful in comparison to calculation. But if I want to calculate this entire part, I can say 3 carbons are there having X oxidation number plus 2 multiplied by -2, that will be equal to 0. So 3x will be equal to 4, x will be equal to 4 by 3. X will be equal to 4 by 3. So you can see in this formulation, this X is basically nothing but the average oxidation number. This is coming out as average oxidation number. If I have the individual, these are the individual one. These are individual oxidation number. So there is a difference between the individual oxidation number and the average oxidation number. From this particular part, I can also calculate the average oxidation number. So total oxidation numbers of carbon. So 2 carbon in +2 and 1 in 0. So 2 plus 2 plus 0 and total atoms of carbon are 3. So you can say again it is coming out as 4 by 3. So there is a difference. That's why oxidation state is basically assigned for individual atoms and oxidation number is generally corresponds to the average part. Okay, so there is a slight difference between these two parts. If we have a single atom only, single central atom, then both oxidation state and oxidation number, they might be equal. But in case of multiple central atoms, there is a difference. The average part talks about the oxidation number and individual part talks about the oxidation state only. Okay, I hope this entire portion is clear. I hope this entire portion is clear. Very simple analysis, very easy analysis. Okay. Now, can you calculate the oxidation state of a Br3O8? So, in case of Br3O8, I can talk about the calculation. So, 3 bromines are there having X oxidation number plus 8 multiplied by -2 will be equal to 0. You can say X will be equal to 16 by 3. Again, you can see this is nothing but the average oxidation number. So it can be oxidation number 16 by 3 fractional, but that is average. If I want to talk about the individual one, then I have to draw the structure and I can calculate individual oxidation state. Okay, so that's the difference. So in this particular case, if I am drawing the structure, it will be Br, Br and Br. So we have double bond O, double bond O, double bond O, double bond O, double bond O and double bond O. Okay, so that is the structure. That is the structure. I'm not sure if this structure is correct or not. Just forget this structure. Try to look at the structure which I have drawn. Okay. Now 3 and 3 6 and 1 and 2 8. Okay, done. Now Br is less electronegative than oxygen, so that will be -2, -2, -2. Br same, so no charge separation. In that case, that will be +6. In this case, only -2 and -2, that will be +4. And again, this is like same, which is +6. So that is the individual oxidation state. From that particular part, if I want to calculate the average, so that will be 6 plus 6 plus 4 divided by total bromine atom, which is 3. So 12 plus 4, 16 by 3, which is same according to the formula. Okay, so that is the difference. Okay, I hope this part is clear. So there is one important thing which I want to mention in the entire analysis. So this part we already completed, this part is already done, so there is no need to discuss. So one thing which I want to mention, that if we have multiple central atoms, then you can see the difference of average oxidation state, or you can say oxidation number, and individual oxidation states. So there is a difference. Between these two parts. But in case of multiple central atoms, always prefer to draw the structure first. Okay, then use the concept of covalent bond. Okay, so I need you guys to use certain concept of chemical bonding, which you already know. Okay, so what happens in this particular case? Let's talk about this entire analysis, whatever we have discussed in case of previous two examples. This one, Br3O8 as well as C3O2. Okay, so in that case, I want to give you one simple thumb rule or very simple trick. Okay, so in case of multiple central atoms, if you have multiple central atoms, more than one central atoms, in that case, what happens? First of all, calculate their hybridization, which you already know from the chemical bonding. Calculate their hybridization. There are two cases. It may be possible that hybridization is same. If hybridization is same, then oxidation state due to each other will be 0. If hybridization state is different, in that case, this is the most important case, then calculate percentage S character. Then you have to calculate the percentage S character. For example, if I talk about sp hybridization, in that case we have 50% S character. In case of sp2, this goes to 33.3% S character. In case of sp3, it goes down to 25% S character. 1s, total orbitals are 2, so 1 by 2 multiplied by 100, 50. 1s, total 3 orbitals, 1 by 3 multiplied by 100. 1s and total orbitals are 4, 1 by 4 multiplied by 100. Okay, and always remember the order of electronegativity. As the S character increases, so sp is highly electronegative, then sp2, and then sp3. So this data is going to work like this. Okay, all the tricks are completed. Now it's time to put the entire part into the calculation. So first part, why we have considered like these two parts are 0, 0, 0 with respect to each other? Because if I want to calculate the hybridization in this case, 2 sigma bonds, no lone pair, pi bond don't include. So steric number is 2, means sp. This central carbon again sp, this central next carbon is again sp. Each hybridization is same. It means individual charges will be 0 with respect to each other. If you remove their bond, that will be 0 only. In this case, Br3O8, if you look at this part, when I hope I'm audible. Okay. Sorry. So basically in this particular case, if you calculate 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 sigma bonds are there, no lone pair. So that will be sp3 hybridized. In this particular case, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 sigma bonds, sp3 hybridized, no lone pair. In this particular case, 1, 2, 3, 4, again sp3 hybridized. So again charges with respect to each other will be 0, 0 and 0. Total charge is 6 plus 0, 6, 4 plus 0, 4, 6 plus 0, 6. So that is the basic idea of this entire rule. Just have a look at it. Just have a look at it. Okay. Now the next part is a very easy. If I want to calculate the oxidation number of sulfur in Na2S2O3. What is Na2S2O3? It is basically known as sodium thiosulfate. It is basically sodium thiosulfate, or also known as hyposolution. In titration, it is generally used hyposolution. We are going to use this entire part in this chapter only, hyposolution, in iodometry and iodimetry. Okay. So this is hyposolution. So if I want to calculate this entire part, I can say we have 2 sodiums having +1 charge, plus 2 sulfur X, plus 3 oxygen -2, that will be equal to 0. 3 2s are 6, and that will be 2x is equal to +4, x will be equal to +2. So in case of multiple central atoms, if we calculate this entire part, I know that this is going to be the average oxidation number. This is going to be average oxidation number, but I don't know what is the actual oxidation state of individual sulfur atom in this particular case. So then I need to draw the structure. So in that in that particular case, I can say that we have Na2S2O3. The name is sodium thiosulfate. So basically thio word is generally used when oxygen is replaced by sulfur. So that's why we use thio word. So for example, we have OH, which is alcohol. When it becomes SH, that is thioalcohol. CO is carbonyl. CS is thiocarbonyl. Okay, so in the same way, if I talk about the sulfate, sulfate is S double bond O oxygen negative, oxygen negative. That is sulfate. SO4 2 negative. Thiosulfate means if you are changing one oxygen, that becomes S, double bond S, oxygen negative, double bond oxygen, oxygen negative. Okay, so that is the difference between the thiosulfate. This becomes thiosulfate. Okay, so if I talk about the structural analysis, I can say that will be S, double bond S, double bond O, oxygen negative compensated by Na positive as well as Na positive. Okay, oxygen and sulfur, which one is more electronegative? Definitely oxygen. So it means this is +1, this is -1. Okay, -1 -1 -2, oxygen complete. Again this is -1, this is +1. Again this is -2 and +2. Now there is a confusion between these two parts. How to pick this situation? So in this case, sulfur will be having 2 lone pairs in this particular case. In this case, there is no lone pair. Now if you calculate the hybridization in this central sulfur, 1 2 3 4 sigma bonds, no lone pair, it means we have sp3 hybridization. But if you calculate this entire part, in this case you can see 1 sigma bond, 2 lone pair, 3 lone pair. It means steric number is 3 only. That hybridization is sp2. And you know electronegativity of sp2 hybridized atom will be more in comparison to sp3. That is more electronegative. So same covalent rule. Double bond is there. It is more covalent. -2 will be there. +2 will be there. Okay. So you can see in this particular case, one sulfur will be having -2 charge. Another sulfur will be having +2, +2, +4, +5, +6. That is +6 charge. So this is the individual oxidation state of sulfur in this particular part. Now if you want to calculate the average oxidation number, so total charge +6 -2. So +6 -2. Total atoms are 2. Total atoms are 2. So you can say that will come out as 2 only. So yes, data is absolutely correct. Data is absolutely correct. Okay, I hope this part is clear. One more thing which I want to mention. In this particular case, that is the concept of Na2S4O6. That is Na2S4O6. In this particular case, you can see we are talking about sodium tetrathionate. We are talking about sodium tetrathionate. Okay. So basically in this particular case, if you calculate, we have 2 sodiums +1 plus a 4 sulfur having X charge plus a 6 oxygen having -2, that will be equal to 0. 4x will be 6 2s are 12 minus 2, that will be 10, and you can say x will be 10 by 4, which is 2.5. Again, you know, this is coming out as individual average oxidation number. If I want to calculate the actual part, I have to draw the structure. So we have a sulfur, double bond, single, sulfur, double bond, single and single. In this case, 6 oxygens are there, 1, 2 and 3, 1, 2 and 3. Now 2 sulfurs are already only remained. So this sulfur and then sulfur. Okay. And basically 2 lone pairs will be there. You know from bonding, sulfur contains 6 electrons. If 2 are involved in the bonding, 4 electrons or 2 lone pairs will be present in this particular case. Now this part will be negative. This part will be negative, compensated by Na positive as well as Na positive. Done. Now oxygen is more negative, -1 +1, -2 +2, -2 +2, -1 -2 +1 -1 -2 +2. Okay, this part is already done. Okay, +2 and +2. This part is already done. Now what about these 2 sulfurs? What happens? So calculate the hybridization. This one is sp3 because 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 sigma bonds are there. We don't count pi bonds and no lone pairs are there. sp3. In this particular case, 2 sigma bonds, 2 lone pairs, steric number 4, sp3. Again sp3 and last one is sp3. So you can simply say in this particular case that this sulfur will contain +5, this sulfur will contain +5 and these two are 0 and 0. That's all. That's all. So it means 2 sulfurs are having +5 charges and 2 sulfurs are having 0. That is the individual oxidation state of each sulfur in this particular case. And that's how you can calculate different portions related to the oxidation number. I hope this entire portion related to the calculation of oxidation number is clear to everyone. Remaining part we are going to discuss in the next session, that is the concept of oxidizing as well as reducing agent, along with the balancing of reaction as well as the calculation of oxidation number. So next session is going to be very interesting and very important. Okay, so I hope everyone enjoyed this session, learned something new from this session. Remaining part will be discussed in the next part. Okay, so that's all from my side. Thank you so much.